Hey everyone, there's nothing more heartbreaking for people than a breakup, especially if it happened exactly while you were in a very low point in your life. So by that logic, someone who does this intentionally, purely for money, with no emotion behind it, is one of the worst kinds of people in the world who are just missing that part of the heart that makes them human. Unfortunately, they exist. And one person who does this as their job is a woman in Japan who's gotten popular for marketing her strategy on how to make money from lonely men by essentially acting like you love them and then manipulating them to give you money. But the most heartless thing I saw in her methods was how little she cared when she described, step by step, how to pretend that you love the victim a lot, but immediately abandon and ghost him when there's any sign of him not being able to send any money. And she's a veteran at this, with so much experience that she can afford a pretty good life with a ton of fancy shit. And you're going to see in a minute how much money she's made over the years.
お金をもらったのはいくらぐらいなの
2年半ぐらいやってるんですけど、2億以上。
23でさ、2億円やばくない
でも、全部残ってないんで。
You lost it already?
やばすぎ。嘘ついてお金をもらってる時点で、お前やっぱ詐欺師と一緒じゃないやってること。
私あれってこと、
そうだよ。
Imagine you're 18.
You're telling me
with
I
no
stole
skills, no
$1.4 million, however much that said? You're telling me I'm a bad person? What?
education, stuck in a dead-end job, and someone told you that you needed to make $1 million in a year. Where would you get the money from? For Watanabe Mai, the answer was obvious. From men, of course. Mai developed an incredibly effective method for scamming money out of lonely men and released it as a guide to help other women get rich too. Her tactics spread like wildfire on social media, but then the cops got wind of it. Mai's magic system is genius, and I'm gonna go through all of it, but it is unethical and illegal. That's why I've rebranded it to the Scammer System. Pay attention.
I want to see like how illegal it is, because it does seem like one of these situations where like she hooks some of these lonely men and just bleeds them dry for money. But I don't think that's illegal, unless it's something like I don't know about just
Guy
yet.
is a good target. So if you don't choose the right ones, you're gonna waste a lot of time. Broke losers are out. You gotta find a guy who's good at making money but bad at holding on to it.
That's exactly right.
The perfect mark is a guy who's lonely, isolated, and has no hobbies. A guy who has no meaning in life, who's not fulfilled.
That's pretty easy. In Japan, that is basically 90% of working men.
けどうちは生きる希望がない。毎日仕事して帰って寝て、毎日帰って仕事して寝て。なんで生きてるんだろう。
The reason Mai knows this is the best type of
Wait, hold on, go back. What was that last part? No interracial? No, I'm so done. No interactions with women. Okay.
Mai knows
Yeah.
this is the best type of man to target is because she used to work in what the Japanese call the night industry, if you know what I'm saying. One evening, she desperately texted every guy on her contact list asking for money, and the only reply she got was from the loneliest, most unfulfilled guy she knew. When it comes to the kind of guy you should avoid, Mai recommends staying away from playboys and F-boys, the kind of guys who are self-centered and only interested in physical relationship. As I mentioned earlier, you want a guy who's
that makes
unfulfilled and
sense.
lonely, so you should avoid
The
guys.
lonely people would be like the most, how do you call, they would be like the kind of people who want more like an emotional interaction as opposed to just fucking all the time.
が好きだったり。生活が充実している人、友達が多かったりとか。
And you gotta avoid guys who are full of themselves. Guys who flash money around may seem like ideal targets, but they're savvy and self-centered, making them difficult to manipulate. Now that you've selected your
No,
target, it's
I
time to...
disagree. As someone who's a scammer myself, I would disagree. I feel like people who are self-centered would be way easier to kind of like take money from. Because all you have to do is just be like a yes man and appeal to everything they say. You should be like close friends with them. But so far in this video, it's kind of shitty. She really does sound like she's describing these poor people, the lonely men she's talking about. She's describing like wounded animals. So like it feels like an actual hunting guide. Like avoid men who have hobbies. Avoid men with lots of friends. Avoid men who seem like happy in their life. Go for the most miserable people you could find in the grounds of society. And it really does feel like she has the mind of like some depraved, horrible 40-year-old, but it's stuck like in the body of like this Japanese girl who looks really cute, which is why, you know, she gets so many lonely men to give money to her.
最近知り合った人とか、お金くれない人が言われたとしても、渡そうと。
思わないね、普通の人は。やばいやつから声かけられたってなるね。
If he doesn't trust you, why would he give you money? So you gotta make him trust you. The best way to do that is to make him feel like you're his girlfriend. That means texting him all the time, every day, when you wake up, throughout the day, before you go to sleep. You need to make him feel like he's special to you.
おじくんと話してると落ち着くな。私男の人苦手なんだけど、おじくんと話せるんだ。俺って特別なんだって思わせるように。
思わせるって言ってんじゃん。やっぱ騙そうとしてる。
Why is she so scared of being seen like a liar or a scammer? It's very clear. Even the title of the video outright says that she's a scammer.
The next thing you gotta do is learn everything about him. Stuff like, what time does he wake up? What does he do on his days off? What was his childhood like? If you skip
Jesus, this is the kind of shit stuff like the CIA gets on like people they want to torture.
Mai gives examples of her favorite messages to use on guys. Stuff like, messaging you first thing in the morning has become the highlight of my day, and it feels so nice to say goodnight to you. Okay, now that you've got him to trust you, it's time for the fun part, extracting cash.
Hell yeah, payday.
To do this, we will start by A, arousing concern. Basically, you need to make him think that you're in danger and that the solution is for him to give you some money. Mai refers to this part as casting a spell on him.
You're a complete sociopath.
Don't interrupt.
To start, abruptly stop texting him for 2, 3, or even 4 days. He'll get worried about you and probably spam you with messages. Don't open them. Hold out. Once he's ready, find a time when you think he's home and ready to have a conversation. Say something like,
I'm sorry I didn't message you, but I was too embarrassed to tell you what I've been dealing with. I'm being chased by debt collectors.
Don't elaborate. Make him ask for details and slowly trickle them out to him. Make sure you're ready with your story. Prepare all the specific details beforehand.
Example, I'm behind on rent.
He'll say, since when?
2 months ago.
Why haven't you paid?
The economy, medical bills, whatever.
What happens if you don't pay?
I could get evicted, or my parents might find out.
Surely the clear outcome for this bottom one would be like the guy would offer you like for you to move in with him. But yeah, at that point she would just lie and be like, no, it's okay. Just give me half of your money in your account and I'll be okay. Okay, you have to admit, if this video or this guide, wasn't in this like cutesy artsy style and it was like handwritten on a diary, it would look like the most like psychotic shit that some serial killer left behind before like he killed himself. It just feels like such in-depth guide to like gutting people all the money they have simply because of like how emotionally starved they are and you want to take like full advantage of them. It is shitty. I think this scammer is a bad person. And to be honest, I don't think scamming is a morally good action to take.
Done things correctly, you now have a trusting guy who's sympathetic to your financial troubles. Now, is it time to ask him for money?
No.
Actually, Mai never directly asks for money. Instead, the next step is to mention solutions that don't really solve the problem. These are things like,
I've been talking to someone who says he'll lend me the money, but he's connected to the Yakuza.
obviously your guy
How fun would it be if the guy was like, oh, the Yakuza? Oh yeah, they're really nice. They will give you the money.
First instinct will be to come up with all kinds of solutions that get him off the hook. Things like, have you considered speaking to a lawyer? Or, have you asked your parents for help? He's like a worm trying to wriggle away. Anticipate these questions and be ready with answers. Things that make him feel bad, like,
Lawyer, I told you about this because I trust you. I don't want to tell somebody else about this.
or,
Go to my parents. They hate me. I ran away from home, remember?
at this point, if you've done everything right and he trusts you, he will offer to pay your debt. Mai has a rule where you have to refuse the first time, but eventually give in and accept his money.
Oh, it's like fish them like, oh no, I don't want it.
But it's not over yet. The next part is crucial. You need to make him feel like a
It blows
hero.
my mind how like people can like really make this emotional stuff into one clear-cut strategy that they play in their head over and over whenever they want to get money.
And look how many extra characters she added here for emphasis. That this aftercare is the most important step. You need to make him feel like a white knight who saved the princess. Say things like,
Thank you so much. You've given me a place to sleep tonight.
give him a breakdown of exactly how you spent the money.
What the
Hint at your
fuck is this? Wait, go back for a second.
Place to
What the
sleep
fuck was that
tonight.
pie
Give him a
chart?
breakdown.
10% cute stuff I needed. Food and drink. Does that mean like dolls? food and drink, yeah, that makes sense. Host club, that makes no sense to me. Okay, I guess if you really wanted to like make him feel as awful as possible to you, you would just mention like you're like on your account's end where you could barely scrape enough money to buy food when you're starving. But I do understand this top part, cute stuff I needed, because a lot of guys would want to have like that kind of sugar daddy dream where you can like just flaunt money at her, you can buy whatever she wants, you know, to make her feel better, you know, because she's your queen, you have to treat her nice.
Exactly how you spent the money. Hint at your bright romantic future together and tell him what horrible things might have happened if it wasn't for him.
If I hadn't met you, I might be dead right now.
Or,
You saved my life. Please don't ever leave me.
you need to make sure that he feels warm and fuzzy about giving you the
I'm
money.
not in the shoes of one of these people who is just like emotionally depraved, but if some girl said that to me, I would just laugh. Like, that's the funniest shit.
To end or repeat? If Mai thinks the guy doesn't have any more cash left, or if she's put him in too much debt already, she'll try to let the conversation die out and move on to the next guy. But most of the time, if you wait a few weeks or months, you can loop back to the start and try to get money from him all over again. Mai says most of her targets pay her more than once.
生きてるおじさん。
ほうほうほう。
LINE ってなっちゃって、おじさん
Oh,
が
it's your sugar daddy.
送ってくるから。
今
後で電話してみる。
Oh, call him on
こ
FaceTime.
の人はもう2000万以上いただいてます。
マジで
Fuck me, man. So many people could live their ideal life. The reason why she goes after these men is because, yeah, they're all like, really bad place emotionally. But $145,000, you could like move out of your country, off Japan, and go to like some remote island like the Philippines. I've seen this one guy on YouTube that like, he was so depressed from working like in New York or Manhattan that he was just so tired of life that he just gave up everything and just moved to like this random fishing island where all he does is go in the water, fucking harpoon fish through the head with a spear gun, go back up to the surface, sell the fish or eat it, and just repeat that every day. And although that sounds like a miserable cycle, it brings him happiness. Because when you've like worked so much of your life in the kind of job that you saw would be good, but once you reach that point you hate it, all you really need is simple stuff that just keeps you going, that would give you a lot of joy that a lot of people would find useless. But it's all that basic kind of stuff, which is kind of sad why they see like the solution to like the depression in like these kind of people, in these kind of girls, that they act like they love them so much, but the second they show any sign of like, now why don't you give anyone money or losing it at all, they just abandon them. And after that would, for someone to be that low and then have like their make-believe girlfriend, it's kind of like a pretend girlfriend, dump them, that would put them in a worse spot.
She even has a guy who buys her the new iPhone every year. In her 4-year career, it's likely that Mai scammed over $2 million US from desperate men, and she was proud of it too. Mai didn't hide her lifestyle at all. She even brought $60K in cash to this interview. The interviewer is a massive Japanese YouTuber, and the reason it happened at all is because she's a fan of his and was spamming him for attention. He asked really good questions, and she ended
How
up
fun
looking...
would it have been if this guy did the exact same scammer method to her and let her dry of the $2 million?
pretty bad.
2億円人からもらってるわけじゃないですか。それは収入としてちゃんとやってるの
何の話ね。
確定申
Oh,
告的
hell
な
yeah,
やつ
no
で
tax.
知らなかった。
お前脱税してるのそれ。まあいいや。
The only time it's gonna be one of those stories where everything she did was impossible to prove, apart from the tax. You are fucked if you are caught for like tax evasion.
もうお前捕まえるからね。もう嘘つきでしょ。で、しかも嘘つきを量産させてるよ。お前とんでもない嘘つきだよ。でもよくインタビュー出てくれたね、逆に。
Afterwards, she threatened to go to the cops if he released it, but he released it
Oh my
anyways.
God.
GigaChat.
Hell yeah,
Why
what a
did Mai want to
badass.
be in the public eye so badly? Perhaps she just wanted attention. But there was another reason. The guide we went through earlier, she was selling it for $300 a pop, and business was booming.
どれくらい今までこ
$300 for that guide that could be compressed to like this 12-minute video that I'm watching right now that I could do myself. I imagine like you could easily catfish your way into this method if you're a guy.
Remember when I mentioned that aftercare is the most important part? Another reason for this is because guys who feel scammed go to the cops. Unfortunately for Mai, some of her students must have skipped that chapter, specifically 19-year-old convenience store employee Ieda Miku, who, after buying Mai's guide, scammed around $100,000 out of two men by lying that she was going to be forced to appear in a certain kind of video if they didn't help her. After they paid her,
A
she
farm video?
didn't do any aftercare.
What was that?
In fact, you could say she did negative aftercare. To both men, she sent a message, "Miku has been kidnapped," and blocked them. And when two men bring such an
Christ, I'm guessing you were impatient. To be honest, if you were like a convenience store employee and you went from making barely any money to $100,000, it would be easy to like underestimate how important you have to like follow the process.
absurd story to the Nagoya police within 1 month, they start to connect the dots. They quickly tracked down and arrested Miku, found the guide on her phone, and then arrested Mai for aiding and abetting. This put Mai's face on the news, which made quite a few of her past victims realize they were scammed and go to the cops. Because guys were finally coming forward, they were able to arrest Mai 2 more times over the next
Oh my god. There's probably like a floodgate of people calling her out.
that she never had any savings. She was essentially living paycheck to paycheck. Well, other people's paycheck to paycheck. Every month, she was spending all of the money she received. On what, you might ask? Host clubs.
What the fuck? I've never heard of this. Oh, like going out partying.
Place where women pay for the company of charming men. Hosts give them
That is a
attention.
joke. There's no way this girl who preyed on emotionally vulnerable men went to a host club just to pay for other people to just be friends with her and make her feel better. Because she was emotionally depraved.
Controlled social setting. Host clubs can be cheap if you go once in a while. The first visit is heavily discounted, but if you become a regular, they're really expensive. In Mai's case, she was
To be fair, I would want to go there just for one day or every day of my life.
She fell in love with the host, specifically this guy, and spent so much money at the club, the staff started calling her Mother Teresa. The only reason Mai started scamming was host clubs. Before host clubs, Mai was just a normal student with a part-time job. Host clubs made her want money, which is why she got into night work. That still didn't make enough, so she started scamming her clients. In the end, host clubs were her downfall. Even when she was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, she was living in capsule hotels, so she had more money to spend at the host club.
Jesus Christ.
On October 27th, Mai was in the news again, the 4th time in 2 months.
this-
But this
recently?
time,
What
it
the
wasn't
fuck?
her being arrested, it was her host and his manager. They were arrested for knowingly receiving dirty money from Mai. But how can they
Oh,
prove
these
the
poor
host knew the
bastards.
money was
No.
dirty? How about a text message found on Mai's phone from the host saying, "I am your accomplice now. I'll be arrested with you." Speaking of this host guy,
God
everyone's
damn.
talking about this fish-shaped
This woman just dragging other people down to hell with her.
dollars on Amazon and served Mai soft drinks in it. For this luxurious service, he charged her around $100,000.
My god.
On November 3rd, Mai appeared in court. Her appearance had changed a lot, and she was wearing glasses. She pled guilty to both aiding the scams with the guide and the scams that she did herself. The only new information we learned during the trial is that she has a husband who's Vietnamese. She hasn't been sentenced
What the
yet,
fuck?
and there's another trial coming in December.
Is that in the video? I think so.
こ
If you
の
upload
プ
it.
ランはどうなりますか？使われるこの使うなら。
いや、わかんない。それはリリちゃん可愛いになってるかもしれないよ。
気にならない。
確かに。
You know, I've actually worked at a host club. I made a bonus video where I tell that story and talk a bit about the channel and why the videos take so long. It's free on my Patreon. You don't have to sign up. Link in the description. Check it out.
That was pretty interesting. Jesus Christ. I'm sure in that kind of setting, the host club, it is just full of women who just want some kind of company. But I really wanted to like know more about her Vietnamese husband. Because I'm guessing if you're married to that woman and she just brings in like racks of money every month, surely you have to have some kind of knowledge of where it comes from. But if he doesn't, I like the idea. It would be pretty funny of him just being like, "Where's the money from? Oh, just from a friend. Oh, okay, that'd be pretty funny." But I just want to know more about like the legal process of her getting arrested. Because so far, I guess it was scamming, but it doesn't seem like that much of like an illegal part. Because it is a very bare bones, you know. You go off. It feels like a more complex version of catfishing, kind of. Well, not really, because you are who you are that you show in pictures, but you just ghost them after they give you the money. But I'm sure like the laws in Japan are way more different. That make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. Because I refuse to believe this is the first time in history in Japan that something like this has happened. So I'm sure they have had like laws in place to make sure stuff similar to this doesn't happen. But man, that's just terrifying. And I really hope like a second video comes out from this guy documenting like the legal battle of admitting she was guilty, as well as like all the other people coming out. Because she didn't mention how many people she scammed, but imagine with like when you accumulate over $2 million, the number of men that you scammed has to be enormous. But the idea of all of them coming to court to like testify against you, you'd be fucked. I really want to know like the sentence of how much that would build up, everyone like being against you. It has to be massive. But overall, that was a pretty interesting video. If it had a different style, like it wasn't this cutesy kind of video, it would be like if a guy did this with women, it would be the most abhorrent shit. But I bet you people like have watched this video and be like, oh, she's so cute, and completely ignored like the predator mentality she has, so she can hunt for like the most lonely men imaginable and just bleed them dry of their money. Fuck, you know.
I beat you, then greet you to the door, bitch. Cause I don't love you no more. Which one of these hoes in the lobby wanna slap me? You know me, I like my dick brown like Bobby. In the Duke shoot, then the bitch get the boot. Unless she lick ass and blow dicks like flu.